literary legends and luminaries. I'm Julie and welcome to Booksmart. Today's book deals with a very relevant topic that is trending all over the place, Ozempic. The book is aptly called Magic Pill, The Extraordinary Benefits and Disturbing Risk of the New Weight Loss Drugs by Johann Hari. If you've watched Booksmart before, you know that I read lots of memoirs dealing with eating disorders and food issues and weight. A few years ago, my doctor said I suffered from disordered eating, which wasn't surprising considering I stopped eating when I was in high school and I've struggled off and on since then. A book about these magic weight loss drugs intrigued me for many reasons, especially at my age where I feel my metabolism has turned against me. And I know quite a few people who are taking them. At least I think they are taking them. They've never admitted to taking them, but that's the only way to explain their incredibly shrinking physique. Everyone is so mum on the subject, which I don't really understand, but Hari's book helped me understand that. Why we don't talk about it. And then there's another conundrum. We live in a pill-popping society, yet some of those toxic pills may not be doing what we think they are, and the pills come with a whole lot of side effects. And although weight loss drugs have been prescribed to those with diabetes for years, we still don't know what such drugs may do to people who take them who don't have diabetes, at least in the long term. I assumed Hari's book would focus on Ozempic. Although that is the catalyst for the book, Hari covers so much more. And overall, I thought it was a well-researched book that develops far more than just these magic pills. I couldn't put it down, and it even making some changes in my own eating habits thanks to the book. Hari is taking Ozempic, so it's kind of a meld of memoir and research, which was a format I appreciated. I trusted him more, especially since he tells his readers right away that he is not for or against the drugs. He's going to show both sides of the issue, as is stated in his subtitle, and in my opinion, he succeeded in doing that. Hari's not morbidly obese, but he's overweight enough that his health is beginning to suffer. He takes his reader along his weight loss journey as he interviews doctors and scientists and other health experts to figure out if drugs like Ozempic are the miracle they appear to be. But his research leads him to very important questions that he then focuses on in his book. Like, how did we get to this point where 43% of the U.S. is overweight? Why do we eat so much processed food? That diet and exercise are not the answers to long-term weight loss. The stigma and abuse that overweight people are subjected to, even by their own doctors. And how the popular use of these weight loss drugs unfortunately coincide with the timing of a body positivity movement. And even Japan comes into the story, how they are not an overweight nation and how they do it. It's difficult to unpack this book, and I don't want to sit here and list all the fascinating research that is within it. So I'm just going to bring up some that I found most interesting and leave you to read the rest. Regarding the side effects, Hari doesn't spend as much time on those as I thought he would, but I didn't really care once I got into the book. Thyroid cancer appears to be the most alarming according to Hari, but the biggest concern is we just don't know. He compares the drugs to bariatric surgery, that right away you see results, but then over time the weight will come back, probably not to the extent it was before, but it won't last forever. Is that what will happen with the drugs too? We don't know yet. Even though Hari doesn't experience harsh side effects, just mostly some dizziness, he admits to feeling somewhat blah. Not depressed, but just sort of monotone, which is how I would describe what he describes. While some of this might be that he's no longer using food to get those highs like he used to, he also addresses the issue of how food is so much a part of culture and our social scenes. People he interviews even describes how so many people are on these drugs that it's ridiculous to go out to eat anymore. Everyone sits there and picks at their food. How might this shift the role food plays in our lives, especially if it is predicted that over half the U.S. population will eventually be taking weight loss drugs? Once again, we don't know yet. Hari writes succinctly and clearly about the myth that diet and exercise will lead to long-term weight loss. Hari's book is not the first time I've read this, yet we can't seem to think differently. Yes, exercise is absolutely healthy for you and you should move more, but it doesn't always lead to long-term weight loss goals. Eating less will lead to weight loss, but at some point you will plateau. Hari describes these set points our bodies have, that once we gain weight, our body resets our ideal weight, and that when we then try to lose weight, it's that much more difficult to do so. Yet experts in all of society will still tell people who are overweight to diet and exercise like it's simple. Hari also discusses processed foods and shows how our consumption of processed foods leads to the US and the UK's obesity epidemic. This is not necessarily new, yet the way Hari wrote about the issue was without all those verbose, pompous style of self-help books. He even tries some crazy health program where they just drink tea and honey. He ponders why we eat so fast, how processed food is usually easily consumed without all that chewing, and how our brains react and how we feel when we eat such food. As a donut lover, I know this, yet I still like my donuts. Yet when I read about the rat research, well, I'll let you read that part for yourself. It's scary. My favorite part of the book dealt with the change in body image we've had of ourselves. So let me read you an excerpt because this little history lesson is really beyond fascinating. Something disturbing has happened to body image in the past 70 years. Research in the 1950s found that very few people were unhappy with their bodies. But now in the UK, in the US, upward of 90% of women feel some aspect of negative body image. About 70% of men experience some form of negative body image. En masse, most of us begin to feel our bodies were not good enough. Today, the majority of people are discontent with themselves. There is no other field of psychology where we accept that as the norm. If you said 90% of people were depressed, we would have strategies in place to work out why and how we fix that. With body image, we've got to a place, I think, where we have just accepted this as normal. We need, he believes, to see this as a crisis and try to put it right. There are many reasons why this has happened, but one is simple. A very sophisticated industry discovered it could make a lot of money by making us feel bad about ourselves. To give one example out of thousands, Viren mentioned that the deodorant Lynx had this weird advert in the 1990s where a man drops onto a beach. He's really skinny and none of the women like him. Then he puts on his deodorant and suddenly all the women are flocking to him. That narrative tells you everything about that advertising industry does. It tells you you are deficient. It tells you you are incomplete. The man who isn't jacked is an unattractive joke. We are all exposed to hundreds of messages like this every week, so many that we don't even register them. He added bluntly, how does this fashion and beauty complex operate? It operates by telling people you are not good enough as you are, and you can rectify those deficiencies by buying some products from us. As a result, everyone is worried about their appearance. Everyone is worried about their appearance. That is an interesting way to say it, worried. But we didn't always used to be so worried. Hari provides some solutions to this that are beyond weight loss, ways that are much easier than weight loss, actually, like put your phone down and spend less time on social media and more time in nature. Of course, nowadays, some people might find it easier to lose weight than go outside without their phones. One of the points Hari makes deals with the reason so many people are taking these drugs, at least the reason people say they are taking the drugs. One of Hari's friends is so upset with him, and she finally admits why. That he is not taking Ozempic for all the health benefits that will come when he loses the weight. He's doing it for reasons of appearance, that the health benefits are simply a positive side effect from taking them. She pinpoints that if his health was of utmost importance, he would have made other choices sooner. Hari can't really argue with her, as he does realize that taking the drugs is more motivated by appearance than health, which is probably true for a lot of people. Surveys show people would rather lose a limb than be fat. Look at how that connects with our worry over our appearance, that is more motivating than our health. How did we get to this point? Hari really doesn't have an answer for that. Hari spends a brief chapter on eating disorders and how weight loss drugs could be deadly for those battling an eating disorder. I wish he would have developed this a bit more. Everyone in Hollywood is shrinking, some into skeletons who didn't need to lose any weight in the first place, yet that's a big draw of the drugs. People who just want to lose 10 pounds or so are using them. Everyone knows how difficult it is to lose just those few pounds, especially the last few pounds, and especially when you get to a certain age. Ozempic should not be taken under such circumstances, and with the potential side effects, Hari bluntly states it's not worth any risk if your BMI is 27 and under. But we know such a magic pill will be wanted by anyone wanting to lose weight, even just a few pounds, even if they don't need to. The implications here are great, and none of those outcomes are good. I love when books make me think and bring about changes in what I do or how I interact with the world. Hari's book inspired me enough to not eat so many donuts for breakfast on the weekends, to eat more fresh foods and less processed foods, and to just look at my relationship with food in a different light. That every day we do have choices, and Hari reminds us that we're all a work in progress. He's making changes in his diet, but still enjoys his KFC, just not as much as before. Hari doesn't have the answers, which I'm okay with. He's not a scientist, which I'm also okay with. He's a writer, a journalist that has had his own ups and downs with weight and is taking Ozempic. And he shared that journey with us and what he found out along the way. I enjoy this style of book. If you are taking a weight loss drug or are thinking of taking a weight loss drug, you really should read Magic Pill. If you are concerned about your eating habits and your health due to those eating habits, you should read Magic Pill. And if anyone you love struggles with their weight, even if you don't, you should read Magic Pill. No, the book doesn't have all the answers, but it can't. Remember, this topic is so new. We just don't know yet what the effects of such a vast amount of people taking these drugs long-term will have, not just on the people taking the drugs, but also what it means for body positivity. Will such a magic pill take us 1,000 steps back into what it means to be attractive? Way worse than Twiggy or Kate Moss did? We just don't know. Only time will tell. Thanks for watching. As always, my goal at Booksmart is to get a little bit smarter, one book at a time.